You might remember that last week we looked at the role One Nation preferences could play in this election. We had a chat to Annabelle Crabb. One Nation made some last-minute changes to some of their preference recommendations for key seats. And essentially, it raised the preference that they gave to the Liberals, and the Liberals have also put One Nation higher on many of their how-to-vote cards. Certainly, the Liberals have put One Nation above Labor. That is very different to previous elections. You might remember Scott Morrison back in 29 making a show of putting One Nation last that federal election.
One Nation will be put below the Labor Party at the next election by the Liberal Party. Now, this is a decision which is based on our strong view about the sanctity of Australia's gun laws and to ensure that at no stage that those things should ever be put at risk.
Well, they're not last anymore for the Liberal Party. It is a long way from how One Nation was founded decades ago by Pauline Hanson after she was disendorsed by the Liberals but still won the election. Pauline Hanson's been a senator since 2016. She's not up for re-election this year, but her party's preference could play an important role. Pauline Hanson, welcome to Drive.
Thank you very much, Ellie.
So why the change from One Nation to put the coalition higher and in some cases second in some key seats, including Bruce here in Victoria?
Ellie, I've worked on the Parliament now. You said I got re-elected in 2016. In both the Turnbull and the Morrison government have had the balance of power. We've had a big input into the legislation, and I'm not necessarily on side with what the coalition puts up in the legislation, but having that balance of power, we can then change it or amendment or reject it. And the same thing happens with the Labor government. I think now I do not believe that a return of this Labor government is going to be good for the country, for our economy. We've seen high immigration, the cost of living. I've seen now people living in the cars, the poverty that's happening. This is all due to Labor's policies, and they haven't delivered what they've promised to the Australian people. And I believe that they don't deserve another term in government.
And on the how to vote, the Liberals are returning the favour to a point. I think it's 139 of the 147 seats where you're running a candidate. They're going to they're going to recommend One Nation above the ALP, and again that's in the seat of Monash. I think that is very different to how the Liberals have treated you in the past.
It is, right? So since the 1998, when we won 11 seats in Queensland, all the major political parties actually put us last on the how to vote tickets. Labor has always put us last. The coalition now find that they can work with us. The policies that they've picked up, the fuel excise tax, the 25 cents a litre, that was my tax. The superannuation using it for land to buy housing, that's my policy as well. Stopping foreign ownership of housing in Australia, that's again my policy, that's picked up by Labor and also the coalition at this election. So we're in line with quite a few policies out there, so that's why they feel that they can work with me. We've worked together on the floor of Parliament, and I must tell people, the Labor Party have never spoken to me at great length on legislation. They guillotined the bills, 220 bits of legislation they've guillotined, and Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister, said he would have a meeting with me every 3 months. We only have one meeting. He doesn't consult. They do not talk to me, nothing.
Have you done a deal with the coalition over these preferences?
No, there hasn't been any deal done, because I tell you what, even the members themselves have, I get on quite well with them, and they actually say, we want to put you number 2 on our ticket. And these are these independent members of Parliament, the senators, not the senators, but the lower house members for the coalition, and they actually know that we are in line with our policies. So it's good to see that they're working with us.
Pauline Hanson, can I ask you another question? And you may have seen the reports over the weekend about a neo-Nazi, a very prominent neo-Nazi group that is reportedly recruiting members to form a new political party. And as part of that conversation, they reckon that they're going to form an alliance with other parties to the right of the Liberals. They reckon they'll then go on to crush those parties within a decade or so, but not to comment on that, but more that they specifically, and this is the white supremacist leader Thomas Sewell, specifically mentioned your party, One Nation. Would you ever work with them?
Oh, Ellie, No, I wouldn't, and I don't support anything of the like. Years ago, when I first started out, they tried to align me with it. It was a load of rubbish, and it still is, a load of rubbish. I won't have anything to do with these people. I've had people who stand as candidates and part of my party from all different cultural backgrounds, so I'm not aligned with these people or their way of thinking at all, and it's totally out of the realm of One Nation to have anything to do with them. But it's deplorable what happened over the weekend in the Welcome to Country. It's not a time to actually be protesting, regardless of anything. Even that one that screamed out Free Palestine at the Canberra War Memorial on Anzac Day commemoration. So it's disgusting, any protest, but the discussion needs to be held about Welcome to Country.
So okay, that's interesting, because you didn't see the Anzac Day as the time to make that protest, but you have, as I know, you've just uploaded a video to YouTube just not so long ago, why I stand against Welcome to Country division. You do think we need to have that conversation?
Oh, most definitely. And that's what a lot of the veterans saying to me now. That's why we don't go to this. We don't do this Welcome to Country. They are absolutely so upset by it that they went and fought for this country, and to be welcomed back to a country that they've fought for and put their lives on the line, people that have actually died for this. No, I think it's wrong, and I don't think there should be a Welcome to Country.
But Pauline Hanson, if you think that, and you believe that a number of veterans think that, is now the time to be having that conversation in the height of an election campaign, a matter of days before the actual election? That is not really the environment to have a sensible, debate or conversation about the pros and cons.
I think we should know from our leaders and people who are standing for Parliament where they stand on this issue, because it is a big issue. The people have rejected the voice, and this is just more of the voice, that people are incensed by this Welcome Country. People who are born here or people that come here to Australia consider themselves to be Australians. We've been shut out of parts of our land, whether it's the Grampians, whether it's, Mount Warning, whether it's beaches, all this other thing. We're heading for nearly 60% of this land is under native title. People are feeling they're being left out of their own country. This is not about the past. These people are protesting over it. They weren't here 250 years ago. Surely we've moved on from this and enjoy this land and everything has to offer as equals.
Pauline Hanson, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.